Hi there, my name is Tanya Plimmer. Thank you for the opportunity to share my homeownership story. About 13 years ago, I was a single mom and I wanted to provide stability and security to my children as they grew up here in Montana. And even though I worked in the mortgage industry, I was scared. It's scary to do something that feels so big all on your own. And so what made a difference for me was a loan officer who really cared and NeighborWorks Montana. I was doing this by myself and needed a bigger home, but didn't have quite as much purchase power as I needed. And they came in with a silent second mortgage that provided subsidy that allowed me to increase my purchasing power. And so I took out a USDA, Montana Board of Housing loan with a silent second from NeighborWorks Montana, and I was able to purchase a vacant 1 acre lot and build a home on that lot. And now own that home for 13 years. I have refinanced it into a HUD 184 mortgage. I did that to pull out the equity to pay for a big hospital bill that I had when my daughter had to have a life flight. And so that equity has covered medical bills for my children, some of their college education, and it's been a mainstay and provided absolutely the safety, security, stability that my family needed. And so I'm grateful for all of those entities, and many of them are here today.
I'm Jody Cahoon-Perez, Executive Director for the Salish and Kootenai Housing Authority. When I was 12 years old, I moved in with my dad after my parents had divorced, and we lived in a rental unit that was HUD assisted, and it was in Indiantown. And we lived there in 2 different apartments until I graduated high school. And I lived with a sister, and then a different sister, and then friends, until I finally met my husband, Juan. And he was the site manager for SKC, which is Salish Kootenai College Student Housing. So we got paid to live there. When our oldest 3 were in school, I rejoined the workforce, and I was desperate to get out of student housing. So I went to the Housing Authority's first time homebuyer education class. And that really got me excited. I started looking for houses, and I was like, I can do this, we can do this. We had 2 incomes now, and so it really seemed like a possibility. And then a couple months after the class, I had a phone call from the homebuyer education teachers, and they said there was an opportunity for me to create an individual development account with NeighborWorks, and they would match my savings 4-to-1. So I jumped on that opportunity, and when we found the house that was decent, it wasn't like my dream house, but it was a decent first home, and it was only a block away from my mother-in-law. And so we bought that, and if it wasn't for the development account, we wouldn't have been able to close. So I'm very grateful for NeighborWorks and for the Salish Kootenai Housing Authority for helping me attain my goals.
My name is Martin O'Runner. I'm the Executive Director for Habitat for Humanity in Great Falls. And my home ownership story. I am in my second home. I bought in 2022. My first home I bought with my former wife, and my second home cost just as much and has half the square footage. Prices have continued to increase since then, so I mean, from the perspective now, it was a good time to buy. And I utilized the VA home loan on both occasions, and I live in Great Falls.
Several years ago, my tribe at Fort Belknap asked me to come and help them figure out housing and home ownership. At that time, the tribal enterprise was growing, and we needed more housing and more opportunities for tribal members. And so I stepped away from for-profit mortgage lending and worked with the tribal enterprise, worked with the tribe to write the Hearth Act and to start a native CDFI and work on building access to capital for home mortgages. And so I'm grateful for that opportunity. In doing that, trying to build out a business model, I knew that we needed to have a broader reach with natives across the state. And so I met with Bob Gochi, who is our godfather of Indian housing here in Montana, and also Jason Adams, who is another leader. And we talked about some of the coalition work that had been happening over the last several years. And Bob gave me a package of papers from early 2000s of the Housing Authorities Coalition, what they'd done with NeighborWorks Montana, and said, make something of this. Let's revive this and bring it together. And so we did. We pulled together a big strategic planning back in 2022 and brought everybody together to Helena. And we're still using that plan today and have continued to grow on that plan. The beautiful thing about this coalition is that it's been grassroots from the very beginning, and that it's very inclusive of tribally designated housing entities, housing authorities, tribes themselves, Native CDFIs, other Native nonprofits, and some nonprofit lenders and providers and practitioners. We need that wealth of knowledge and wealth of experience, and so this has been a beautiful melding of thought leaders in this space to move the needle on homeownership in Montana, Native homeownership in Montana.
The first reason is for me personally. Homeownership has given me freedoms that I didn't have as a renter. I also am investing in myself instead of paying rent. On a tribal level, we are generating wealth as a tribe, so the reservation is got a lot of poverty, and so this is an opportunity for individuals to become homeowners to increase the wealth on the reservation. And it also provides housing stability for our tribal members. So, and it will have a generational effect. And then at the coalition level, I want to help the other tribes who may not be at the same level as we are, or we might be doing things differently, and I can help them and they can help me. So that teamwork is a way for us to progress faster.
I'm engaged in the coalition because that's where the biggest need remains in Montana, I feel, is on our native, with our native populations and our native communities. And so being able to bridge the gap of creating home ownership opportunities in our communities is something that hasn't really been established. And it's a wealth creating opportunity that most Americans have been afforded, and we're coming into a new paradigm where that might not be the case going forward, but on our reservations and in our tribal communities, we should be able to make some really good efforts and positive strides toward being able to positively affect folks and meet them where they're at and give them the opportunities that have been afforded most Americans.
I hope that we continue to grow. I hope that we begin to increase the amount of lenders that are offering products for trust land lending. I hope to change the narrative for Native homeownership, that it is very possible, and to increase the amount of Native homeowners that we see in the state. I hope to be able to quantify the impact that has on the state's overall economy when we see an increased stability on our reservation lands with our Native people and what we're able to give back to our own economies and to the state and to the nation. I truly believe housing is the cornerstone of that economic resilience, and so I would like to see that increase of self-determination and grit and showing our strength as Native people.
My hopes and dreams for the coalition is that we make homeownership more accessible for our tribal members. It's a complicated land status situation that doesn't conform to mainstream lending, and I hope that we can figure out how to have more lending opportunities, that we streamline processes, that we have financial assistance available, that education is the most effective and efficient that it can be, that people understand that homeownership is attainable. It takes work and effort, but we can try to take down as many of the hurdles and roadblocks as we can through the coalition.
my hopes and dreams for the coalition in the future is that we as coalition members be able to create a solid platform for the staff to be able to then launch off of and positively create a deep and long-lasting effect on our tribal communities for current and future generations.
I am most excited about 3 accomplishments that we have so far. The first one is just having everybody engaged and collaborating. We have tribal and non-tribal stakeholders all at the table, and we're working things out together. So I love that level of engagement and collaboration. The second thing that I'm excited about is hiring the program manager. So Tyler Baker was hired to help us stay organized, stay on track, and progress faster. And the third reason is HUD certification. So to be a housing counselor now through HUD, you have to be certified. And we didn't have anyone at the Housing Authority who was certified. And we had 5 employees try, and nobody made it until Richard. So Richard Pierre was able to pass the exam, and it wouldn't have happened without the help of the education committee. And then now we have our first time homebuyer education classes again.
I'm excited about the coalition and what they've accomplished so far, because it is a great thing to be a part of. Being able to give back is something that I've always learned you can't keep it unless you give it away. So being part of the coalition, being able to contribute ideas and a voice to the mission has been a really bright spot for me professionally and for me personally. I'm tribally enrolled in the Blackfeet, and so being able to put a positive note in the song that is our collective song is something where I'm blessed to be a part of.
I'm so excited about this group that it has become more cohesive and with clear leadership. And so what happened after that strategy session in February of 2022 is we've now solidified several of our committees. Those are working committees with clear goals and mission and vision that are working together, and a steering committee that kind of is beginning to oversee governance of the group, and we're beginning to have more grassroots leadership across the board. And so I'm really excited about that. I'm so excited that we've had an infusion of capital and the ability to hire a program manager. I'm so grateful that Tyler is our program manager now and is going to be able to help us focus on things. I'm grateful for our steering committee members and our mainstays. I'm grateful for those leaders who continue to come to meetings to donate their time because they care about this work and care about all of us as Native Montanans and what we can do to offer homeownership in our Native communities. So really excited about all of that work and excited to see what next steps look like together.